How's it going, guys? Wow. All right, so this is the last week of the Influence. I always have bad luck over here. This is the last week of our Influence series. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, Jason started us off by talking about how others influence, right? Influence us. How athletes influence us. Kind of reminds me of the Charles Barkley commercial from back in the day. I am not a role model, which means he was a role model. But musicians always are trying to influence us by the music they play, and nowadays politicians are trying to influence us to vote for them. Last week, Ben Merwin talked about how God influences us, and a great example of that was Jonah, and how he influenced Jonah as he was about to prophesy to Nineveh. So tonight, what I wanted to talk about was how we influence others.
Is it on? A little side
Okay. So,
thanks for coming, everybody.
thanks for coming. We're done for tonight.
No, it was here.
So if God is influenced us to go out and influence others, what does that look like? How do we do that? There's a Bible verse, Matthew 5:13. All right. Which says, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot." And it reminds me of like a bowl of salt. All right? Would you sit and just eat a bowl of salt by yourself? Now, I know some of the guys here, Anthony, might want to do this. But you don't do this with salt, right? It influences the product you put it on, right? You put it on meat to preserve it. You put it on food just to season it, right? But eating it out of a bowl by itself is not what you want. You don't want to directly absorb it, right? Similarly, in continuing on from Matthew 5, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Similarly to the salt, right? You don't want to look directly into, say, the sun. Right? There we go. You don't want to look into it. You'll not die. Okay, you'll die from looking directly into the sun. You'll go blind. There we go. But instead of it reflecting off something, you'll be able to see it, right? So that's how salt influences food, and similarly the sun influences objects. We're able to see it and absorb it. That's what we need to be. We need to be indirect influences on others. We don't want to be this. We don't want to be the reason, or we don't want to be the center of whatever we're trying to influence. If it's about us, then it's completely off base. It kind of reminds me of talking to somebody about faith as a call salesperson. They don't care about the person, they just want to sell the product. Similarly, if all we care about is selling our faith, then we're not making a connection with that person at all. We don't care about that person, right? Instead, we should be focused on them, building a relationship with them in order to talk about our faith. Because if we don't do that, then we don't really care about that person. Let's go ahead and set up. Similarly, if we're looking to beat somebody down with our message, making them feel discouraged about what we're talking about, that's also negative. That will turn them away from what we're trying to tell them about. Tim, if you could play the video clip real quick for us.
Good one. That's awesome.
Hey, ladies. Sorry. You got a second?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm concerned about Mary. Something's going on.
Yeah, me too.
Well, she's part of your posse. And I think that you can help her. I'm going to need you to be a warrior out there on the front lines for Jesus.
You mean like Shooter?
No, that was thinking of something a little less gangster. I need someone who's spiritually armed to help guide her back to her faith. The love and care that only Jesus can supply. You down with that?
Yeah, I'm done with it.
She's pretty vulnerable right now, so I'm going to need you to be extra gentle.
So are you not going to accept our intervention here? No. You are backsliding into the flames of hell.
You've become a magnet for sin. We've all witnessed it.
Sure. Veronica acting all pure. What about last spring break at the Promise Makers rally, huh?
Oh my God, you are making accusations
As we're trying to save your soul, Mary, turn away from Satan. Jesus, he loves you. You don't know. First thing about love. I am filled with Christ's love. You are just jealous of my success in the Lord. This is not a weapon, you idiot.
I am full of Christ's love.
We laugh at that, but that's how a lot of people go about talking to people about their faith. I mean, I see people every day on the street corners in Chicago yelling and berating people about how much of a sinner they are. When I went to NIU in DeKalb, once a year a guy would come in and sit and stand in the middle of the campus and would yell at each individual person as they walked by, telling them how much of a slut they were, how much of a sinner they were because of the way they dressed, because of the way they presented themselves. Not one person that I saw that was not a Christian went up and talked to that person about their faith, about his faith. They laughed at him, they made fun of him, but they never wanted to talk further about their faith. Instead, we need to be on their level. If we can't communicate with them about how much of a sinner we are because of our actions, how are they going to be able to, how are we going to be able to influence them? And I don't see how we would be able to. They would be turned off by what we're trying to say. So with this, we're going to break into our small groups now. So what did you guys learn about sharing your faith? We shared in joy. And you want to tell me the other two because I forgot them. Anthony. What's that? Okay. What were the three methods of sharing that were... Alec. Joy, confidence. We'll go with love. That sounds good.
That's a trump card.
Love is always the trump card. It's like God and Jesus. All right. So talking, one of my favorite Bible books is 1 Timothy. I love this verse because it's talking, Paul's writing to Timothy as Paul's left Timothy in Ephesus to help lead the church. And Timothy is younger for a church leader. He's in his 20s-ish. And Paul writes this: "Command and teach these things. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. Until I come, devote yourself to the public reading of scriptures, to preaching and to teaching. Do not neglect your gift, which was given you through prophecy when the body of elders laid their hands on you. Be diligent in these matters. Give yourself wholly to them, so that everyone may see your progress. Watch your life and doctrine closely. Persevere in them, because if you do, you will save both yourself and your hearers." Oops. Nope. Back. No. The important thing here is that we have to, when we model our faith, we have to be aware that we're influencing people all the time. They know we're Christians, right? They know, and they watch us constantly. They're watching for us to make a mistake. So we have to be aware that when we're going to influence them by our actions. Now, am I saying that we are going to be perfect all the time? No, that's impossible, right? But we need to watch how we live our lives, just like Paul was directing Timothy. Because if we fall into the same traps consistently that other people are doing, then they're going to call us hypocrites. They're going to say that we don't live our faith. And they're not going to believe what we have to say. And our influence on them is not going to be the impact that we're looking for. And on that note, I want to leave you guys with this.
I hope this gets delivered on time. I hope they can see past the rhyme and meditate on the reason for this letter. Why would anyone want to follow me to Christ if I'm not living right? And my life, compared to theirs, is looking no better. If I point to the cross with my talk, but I'm just as lost because my walk doesn't seem to match what I say I believe. And I can't influence if I'm not the example. My conduct, my speech, my love, my purity makes the gospel tangible. If God wants to reproduce himself through my life, then all the time I have to be the evidence of the reality of Christ. I guess I'll stop writing now, even though I have so much more to say. Sincerely yours, Phil. P.S. God so loved the world he gave his son away. Live like it.